Hi, my name is Hansel. This is my first video and I'm going to try to show you some of the various codes and hints that I've found put out in the media. I'm not very good at explaining this stuff though, so if you haven't already looked into predictive programming and media codes, you might want to look at a few other people's videos that are better at explaining. And these aren't the only things that I've found regarding November 13th in Illinois, by the way. They're just simply the most blatant and nearly undisputable in my opinion. So just listen to what I have to say and see what I have to show. That's all I could ask. First, I'd like to start at the American Dad episode entitled Chiefs Will Survive. This was one of the first things I found around November 13th and led me to look into it more. Just going to start with a quick reference to codes in the clip.
So listen, I couldn't help but notice that Bullock was in the bar last night. Any fun stories or anything?
Dad, I can't tell you that. Bartender's code.
Oh, no, of course. You don't need to tell me about codes. Morse, Da Vinci, I follow them all. Now get up. Important people need to unload their secrets on you.
As I said before, I'm not very good at explaining this stuff, so I've typed it all out for clarity. Basically, the next part I want to show you is about a scene in the video store in this episode that ends at 13 minutes 11 seconds in, cutting to the CIA headquarters. Shows Maltese beagles and injustice as the only real things in it. Maltese beagles, dog bred in Malta. Not going to go into the whole Knights of Malta thing, but just wanted to show you some of the coincidences around it. Injustice, however, is a cop conspiracy thing aired in British TV. It was released on the date backwards on television for November 6th and then on November 13th backwards on DVD. And as you can see on the cover right there, it's got a little Illuminati eye kind of crap. Last clip for this episode stating Illinois' nuclear war.
Before you do this, you might be interested to know that I wrote down all those dirty little secrets that you told me at the bar. The Nepal slaughter, the Copenhagen incident, the nuclear war in Chicago.
We can't let that get out.
This episode was aired the very same day as the one with the code right there. It's about Peter taking a business trip to Chicago and has another Illinois reference in it.
Fine. So you'd be willing to take that trip to Chicago for the company?
Now this clip comes into play more in a second. Just notice how the plane cuts into St. Louis in it.
I've been to Reno, Chicago, Fargo.
Now before I go to the other St. Louis thing, I'd like to point this out in this clip from the Family Guy episode Crawl Girl regarding Chicago business trip, just like the last episode I showed.
Peter, why are you dressed like that? What did you do to your hair?
Business trip, Lois. Going to Chicago City.
Oh, okay. I see.
And in case you're wondering why I don't have business chats, yes, I do. All right, I gotta say goodbye to the kids. Hey, champ, I want you to have this pocket watch.
Notice how the clock that he holds up has the time 11:13 on it. I put another picture in just to show you real quick. In the Family Guy episode Back to the Pilot, it's all about Brian stopping 9/11 and it was aired on November 13th, 2011. Here's the other St. Louis part.
Oh, Brian, we're so proud of you.
Yeah, buddy, great job stopping those terrorists. And thank God their follow-up attack on St. Louis was a bust.
We missed!
Earlier in the episode, when they arrive at the courthouse, the clock on it is at the time 11:13 as well. Just put a quick picture to show you. Now this is one of the little things that leads me to think that it's 2016, obviously not definitive though.
In fact, I bet 5 years from now, the world will still be better off for what I did.
Is that so? Well, Brian, if you're that sure of yourself, then let's go 5 years into the future and you can prove me wrong. It says here that the new American Civil War you set into motion ended up in a series of concentrated nuclear strikes all along the eastern seaboard. It killed 17 million people.
The other little thing that kind of leads me to 2016 is the American Dad Rapture episode, which claims that the war between Jesus and the Antichrist will last 7 years, and 7 years after that episode would be a month after 11/13. That's just a little thing though, obviously not definitive as I stated before. The next episode I'm going to show is an old Simpsons episode already known for predicting how Siegfried and Roy's tiger mauled Roy. Just keep an eye on how the tiger claw goes directly on the Roy parody's face.
A round of applause, please, for Anastasia. She loves show business. So much nicer than the savagery of the jungle, yeah?
Hey, tiger, wake up!
For the 11/13 parts, the episode starts with a nuke.
The News on Parade Corporation presents News on Parade. Corporation News, bringing you the world of current events.
After the nuke, it shows 5/11 and 5/13 on a theater. Also has Henry Kissinger stuff later on, but I didn't add that in. In the next scene I'm going to show, it has 3 different clocks with the opposite of 11/13, hour hand and minute hand being reversed. Then on the 4th clock it moves the hour hand back to minute 11.
Gentlemen, I give you Britannia! Gambling with all the glitz and glamour of the British Isles. And best of all, the waitresses and showgirls are all real Brits. Fresh from the Strait to Sussex, they are.
Freshen your drink, Governor.
Get out.
Okay, alright, wait, now dig this, man.
Get out.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Last little clip in this episode is just a little Freemason thing in it.
They're all covered with filthy germs, aren't they, Smithers?
Why, what do you mean, sir?
Freemasons run the country.
Ugh.
Now for Bible scripture, I've seen people link 9/11 to little things in the Bible. Personally, 11/13 I don't think it's linked to it, but it's the end of the second woe. I think that it's linked to 13:11, however, which is the beast that'll make fire come down from the heaven on earth in the sight of men, as well as make an image of the beast of 13:1. Now for the rest of this part, I just wrote down a few facts revolving around November 13th that I thought were kind of interesting. Just gonna have you read them, I guess. If you've read into a bunch of conspiracy sites and stuff like that, you may have come across this little ad that was put out before Pearl Harbor with 2 dice and a bunch of numbers on them with a bigger ad. I'm not really sure how to explain all the ways I solved it, so I'm just going to have you read what I wrote. Now this is an old theory that people have thought since he was being elected, because his name was all 6 letters, Ronald Wilson Reagan. Not going to get into all the details that makes me think about it, just going to show you a few of the hints. The first one being in the episode Jesus, Mary, and Joseph of Family Guy.
You know what? Still, just to be safe, I should probably kill that baby. Then Jodie Foster will love me.
Referencing Jesus to Reagan there, because John Hinckley Jr. was supposedly trying to kill Reagan to gain the affection of Jodie Foster. Next clip is from the Family Guy episode Road to the Multiverse.
What about all the Renaissance art that Christianity inspired? That was my first question, too. Come on, have a look at the Sistine Chapel. Wow.
Yep, with no Christianity to inspire Michelangelo, they gave the job to John Hinckley.
Clearly that could be considered an indirect reference to it, but the Sistine Chapel was painted with pictures of Michelangelo's lover in an effort to kill Jesus' image, basically. So I consider that a direct reference as well. Now this little quote from my favorite Reagan speech just seems a little bit too coincidental to me.
And this is the meaning, in the phrase of Barry Goldwater, peace through strength. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Seems far too coincidental to me when the dragon is thrown into the bottomless pit for 1,000 years in the book of Revelations, and then those who worship the image of the beast or receive their mark in their foreheads or in their hands don't live again for 1,000 years while Christ reigns. Now, last thing I want to show in this video is just a little quick thing from the name of blasphemy. Obviously, Ronald Wilson Reagan 666 can be considered that, but I think there's more to it personally. I'm not going to show all the things I think about it, but I'm just going to show the upside down God and Elah in his name, Elah being Allah. Eventually I might make a video linking to the smaller 1113 stuff that I've found, as well as the other false flag stuff that I've found from the past ones. Mainly just wanted to get some of this information out there and show you that they're clearly doing something around the dates 1113, and clearly they're referencing Ronald Reagan as an antichrist.